We are back on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk, 1180 KERN, 1230 KGEO, 1410 KERI, 1000 KKIM, and now 3 times a week on the internet on knookmedia.com. Our guest by phone, Diane Keefe from Benestream, and Clay is biting at the bit with another question.
Diane, I've got so many questions, and I'm going to ask a couple of them real quick. If the employee is already on Medi-Cal, should they still go through our program?
Yes. The reason why it's so important not to take a haphazard approach to just surveying your employees on a one-time basis and having some of them say they're already on Medi-Cal is that it's an annual recertification program. It's not a trivial process to make sure that the employers and the employee's card doesn't lapse so at the anniversary date. So we have a system of keeping track beginning 3 months before that annual re-enrollment date per employee to make sure that people don't lapse. So that's part of what an employer is paying us for, is just keeping track of all that detail associated with every employee, and that really counts in the large group market.
Now, what do you do as far as the tracking and reporting so that the employer isn't responsible for those employees under their ACA requirements? How do you do that?
Well, again, the employer under the ACA is always required to make an offer, and if it is determined that the offer that they made wasn't affordable for an individual, that's where, by the way, the $3,000 per employee fine could kick in. But what we do is the technological solution we offer is provides an employer dashboard for the HR department to be able to look and see employee by employee, Social Security number by Social Security number, whether they're enrolled in Medicaid, what their re-enrollment date is, whether they're ineligible for Medicaid, or whether their application is still incomplete because they didn't provide us either an immigration document or a certification of their trailing 12 months income. And what we do is we come to the workplace and we scan in all that stuff and we assist the employee, and maybe they're not so computer literate and they're not comfortable with working with the exchanges, and we make the process easy for people. So it's very important that the employers are also able to delete employees who are getting laid off or quitting, and then in like manner when they hire new employees, or if they open a new store in a retail chain, for example, that will work with them on their onboarding process. And the first step would be just calling Benestream for a quick screening, 5 to 10 minute conversation to figure out whether we need to take that particular employee through the exchange to see if they can qualify for Medi-Cal and food stamps. So the first step is just a 10-minute meeting. You know, a lot of manufacturers that we've dealt with have initially had some concerns about taking people offline, but you know, these people are diamonds in the rough. If you can save so much money on your employer-sponsored insurance and enhance the productivity of that employee, because once that employee's health insurance is taken care of, even if they would have rejected the offer because they can't afford the employee-sponsored premium, what you see in subsequent years when these employees have their health needs taken care of, less absenteeism related to illness in the whole family, and more productivity because they're not as stressed out about how they're dealing with their health problems. The biggest cause of bankruptcy in the United States is unmet problems with health care.
You know, Diane, from an employer's point of view, the fact that we have a team that will actually do all of this relieves the HR department of having to be responsible to meet with all these employees and do that enrollment.
That's right. And we actually brand and control the communications that go out from the employer from moment one, because it's so important that we're educating this new swath of the U.S. population who've never qualified for Medi-Cal or Medicaid before, and that way they're seeing that this is an opportunity, that we frame it so that people are very, very excited about having the opportunity to do it while they're on the job.
Our guest by phone, Diane Keefe from Benestream. Diane, one question for you. Who is your local affiliate here in Southern California?
Human Resources Outsourcing. And you can call Clay at Human Resources Outsourcing, and the number is 855-799 9881 extension 1 and ask for Clay.
You know,
he's an expert as well. He's your local expert.
I appreciate the plug, but keep in mind we're not just California. We're in all those 28 states that are eligible to use this program.
That's right.
That's right. So multi-state employers can implement this and implement it profitably in the states that have expanded Medicaid to that new population. They'll really find a lot of people migrating on. And another thing that we see is sometimes employers choose to rescreen people that they've screened in a prior period because, for example, divorce can cause somebody who normally was going to be ineligible because their household income was too much to qualify, and then the following year, all of a sudden their income drops. And boy, it really helps to be able to get on this new program.
And that phone number again is 1-855-799-9881, extension 1.
Now, Diane, isn't it true that rather than waiting till the actual renewal of your benefit plan or the actual requirement January 1st, that employers should jump on this right away so they find out who they have to offer benefits to?
Yes. If they can schedule it in with everything that they're working on, that is the best approach. So what we advise people to do is to do this before the annual re-enrollment date for their other health insurance offering so that when they offer, they can have our dashboard in front of them and say, Maria Jimenez, I see that from my Benestream tracking that you're on Medicaid, and we have an offering of an affordable plan for you. It's going to require me to deduct $100 a month from your paycheck, and it's going to have a $4,000 deductible. And if you wanted to cover your family in that plan, it would cost you $150 a month. Medicaid has no deductibles and no expense to you. Which would you like? And what we find is that 99.9% of people who are already on Medicaid at that moment will say, no, I'll waive out of that offering that you've just made to me. So the employer has met their obligation to make an offer of an affordable plan, and the employee is satisfied to say no to that.
So basically what we charge is $40 to do an evaluation of employees that are making less than $33,000 a year. And then if we do the enrollment and the tracking and the processing and the reporting, it's a $20 a month fee to make sure that employer is not fined a $2,000 or a $3,000 penalty. Is that pretty well correct?
Yes, that's right. And we're a mission-driven business, so we're always pushing to try to get as many working families who qualify their health benefits as possible.
And the other thing that's really important is you people, Benestream and Human Resources Outsourcing, will actually meet with employees face-to-face, one-on-one, or on the Internet, or on the telephone, any way that's easiest. And you also have bilingual
that's easy for you to say.
Yeah, I know.
Is that anything like bilingual?
Yeah, that's the term. That's the one.
Sounds like
people to help them.
Right. So we have Spanish-English bilingual people on all of our operations teams, and we also have a multilingual call center that people can call when they're at home gathering their data, because the old-fashioned way of telling somebody to just go to the community center, what ended up happening is the person got there, they waited for 2 hours, and the social worker said, oh, you forgot the social security number of your kid. That's required for the household information on the application, and the person would be told to come back next week, but the thing is, it was their only day off, and they're not going to do it. And so half the people who qualify don't have Medicaid throughout this nation. So it's really a great opportunity for employers to meet the Affordable Care Act mandate and get better coverage for these working families than they would have if they actually were paying the employer's share of their premium.
And Diane, I have to apologize. Sometimes Clay puts emphasis on the wrong syllable, and he gets kind of caught up in his words. that phone number again.
We all do that once in a while.
That phone number again for Human Resources Outsourcing is 855-799-9881, extension 1. And we got about a minute left.
You know, Diane, I think if an employer doesn't at least take a look at this, they're probably throwing money away. And if they'd rather send an email, they can get me at Clay, C-L-A-Y, at HRIS4u.com. HRIS4u.com.
Give that again.
HRIS4u.com.
I would also say that if an employer has not been shown this by their insurance broker, they should make sure and call Clay, because their insurance broker is asleep at the switch if they have not shown this to them.
And most brokers don't know anything about it. That's the sad part.
That's right. It's a new service, relatively new, and it's really a creature of the Affordable Care Act that employers were not mandated before, and now they are. So we're seeing a great upswelling of interest in our product.
Yeah, and Diane, this is an evolving market right now because they keep on changing the rules of the game as they go. So, it's great that you have somebody that stays on top of it like you and Clay, because the answers are changing. It's just the questions are the same. So. I thank you for the time, Diane, and we will definitely be talking to you again.
Thank you for the opportunity to explain our service to everybody. I appreciate it.
We will see you in 167 hours on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk 1180.